Yeehaw, bitches. We are locked and loaded for Lamb on the Line episode number 16, breaking down week 15 of the NFL and previewing tonight's Monday Night Football game. As always, Sheets, it's a tough episode for you. You have to not only explain one loss, we have to explain two losses since the Packers lost on Monday night and then, of course, yesterday. So it's going to be a tough episode for you. I'll let you gather your emotions, though, quick before we get to the Packers. Let's fucking dial this thing back a little bit to Thursday night. And this was a fucking smackdown from the beginning. Las Vegas Raiders over the Los Angeles Chargers 63-21. Chargers season effectively finished. They're 5-9, still alive in the playoff race. I have like a less than 1% chance. They're toast. Essentially, I mean, they're toast. They're toast. They fired their head coach. Brandon Staley's gone. They fired the general manager too as well. He had to pack his shit out. So the Chargers are pretty much back to square one. They're not a bad franchise by any means. They're not usually, at the bottom, but they just never seem to get things figured out. Even when I had a good run with LaDainian Tomlinson and Phillip Rivers back in the day, Antonio Gates, I think they got to one AFC championship game, and that was it. And no Super Bowl, obviously, for Phillip Rivers. Probably one of the best quarterbacks to never go to a Super Bowl. And now here they are. Obviously Herbert was banged up at times, but they had him for the bulk of the season. They couldn't just get things going. I think it's large in part due to the head coaching. I think Brandon Staley was a bad coach. I think you would agree with that too. It just seems like they couldn't get things going. 2 years ago, Staley's first year, they lose in the last game of the season. Last game of the regular season was a Sunday night game. The winner got in between them and the Raiders. They lose that one, I think, in OT. Then last year, they go to the playoffs. They're up 27-7, I think, at halftime, and blow it to the Jags. And then this year, it's just a shit show disaster. Brandon Staley's gone. The Raiders, I mean, they didn't have to do too much. The Chargers pretty much handed it right to them. So, I mean, I don't know if it was like a total smackdown, large in part due to anything the Raiders are doing. From my takeaway from that game, the Chargers just fucking blew it from the get-go. And Ethan Stick looked like he had a stick up his ass. He was awful. Season's over for the Chargers. They're still clinging to a playoff spot, but they're on the far outside looking out too. So what'd you get from this one? Let's beat down.
Well, usually you only get like one of these type of games all year. We already had our Dolphins Broncos 70-20. This was one touchdown and a PAT away from that. I could not believe. No surprise there. Brandon Staley's gone. No surprise the GM's gone. Look at that roster. I mean, we were talking Austin Eckler, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams hasn't played a lot of the year. Justin Herbert, Rashawn Slater. You got Derwin James, Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack. I mean, they've got dudes everywhere. I'm not sure how they're this bad, but they're terrible. And I'm glad you said they're toast because before this podcast, they were only on my write-off list. I assume after you said that, we can put them on the official write-off list.
You put them on the write-off list. I mean, if they had won this game, they would have been 6-8, and then they're still probably out, but they're 5-9. They still have not been officially eliminated. I do want to make that clear, but they are on the write-off list. They're done.
Right, but we're better than the official eliminations. We tell you when it's going to happen before they do. And I've had the Raiders written off for quite some time as well. They play the Chiefs next week, then your Colts are 6-8. I'm assuming you're going to let me not. You're going to have them keep on my write-off list, right? You don't want them on the Lamb on the Line write-offs.
I mean, they're probably done. I wouldn't call them toast. I mean, if you beat the fucking Kansas City Chiefs next week, you're still there. I wouldn't call them toast. I don't think they will beat the Chiefs. I do not expect that to happen. So, I mean, for the sake of their big win this week, I'm going to hold off on them for another week. Next week, if they lose the Chiefs, they're down. So, I'm gonna let the Raiders fans, if there are any, soak it in for another week. You guys still got a shot. Still got a shot. And one more thing, this was just the perfect send-off, I thought, for Brandon Staley. Not only did they give up 60 points, but Austin Eckler had 5 carries in the game. It's just an ultimate mismanaged game. You have Austin Eckler and you give him 5 carries. That's like having Tom Morello in your band, and instead of playing lead guitar, you put him on the tambourine. Stupid. I know it's a perfect send-off.
You want to? I just realized this. You want to listen to these wins the Raiders have so far. I'm gonna list you their 6 wins. Okay, they beat the Broncos. Whoop de do. Then they lost 3 straight. Then they beat the Packers, who obviously is not as good as we thought. They beat the Patriots. Whoop de do. They beat the Giants. Okay, they beat the Jets. Sure, and now the 5-9 Chargers. That's their 6 wins. They're pretty bad. So even it's a great story. The Raiders are historically a franchise worth watching. This year, I don't, even if they do make the playoffs, they have 0.0000 chance to win a playoff game, especially on the road. I'm not even sure how they got the 6 wins. I guess when you play teams like that, you can do it, but they're terrible. They should have re-signed Derek Carr. They should have kept him.
They should have kept him. They should have not given up on Jimmy G like that right away.
Agreed with that too.
I mean, you got a young guy, Aiden O'Connell. He's not better than he does not give you a better shot to A, make the playoffs, and B, do anything in the playoffs than Jimmy Garoppolo does. And I know Garoppolo was struggling a little bit, like you said there. They had a 3-game losing streak there. I forget exactly when they pulled the plug on Jimmy G, but it was Aiden O'Connell's played for, I mean, a while now. It's not like there's been a couple week things like we've seen of Jake Browning. This motherfucker's been starting games for them for a while. They pulled the plug on him too early. I mean, they're still alive in the playoff race. I mean, they didn't totally fold with O'Connell, but I think that was too premature. And that was a fucking hot dog, what's his name thing before he got fired. So it's just kind of a wash season for them. I mean, if you can finish the season strong, even if they get, even if they'll make the playoffs, they finish 8 wins. It's like, holy shit, I don't know how the fuck they did that. I don't think it was an awful year for the Raiders. You just got to get a head coach. He's not a complete idiot. Josh McDaniels. I try to forget him because he's just not even worth mentioning. But yeah, that was my takeaways from that game. The Raiders still hanging on. It was a fitting end to the Brandon Staley era, I thought, for the Chargers. We can move to the Sunday games now.
Oh, Saturday. Don't forget about the Saturday games.
Of course. I'm so attuned to going right to Sunday. Forgot this is the time of the year now where you get the Saturday showdowns. We had 3 games on Saturday, starting off with the noon game. It was the Bengals picking up a dub over the Vikings 27-24. Do we need to get out the flat tire analogy again, Sheets? We had a flat tire for the Vikings. Joshua Dobbs stinking it up. What do? We get we replace him with another flat tire, Nick Mullins. And I get it. If you remember Nick Mullins, I think he had a couple game stretch for the 49ers a long time ago. Bro, the 49ers are always dealing with these weird quarterback issues. This goes back a long time ago. Obviously, the reason Brock Purdy and all that, but Nick Mullins had to replace Jimmy G way back in the day, and then Beathard played, and then he got hurt, I think. So then he had Nick Mullins, then he won a couple games. He was kind of like the Tommy DeVito of the day back then. Then I forget what happened to him. He suddenly resurfaces for the Vikings, and I don't know what they thought was going to happen. Nick Mullins, they said, was supposed to be a little bit more, and he's been around for a while. He's going to make less mistakes than Josh Dobbs, the younger guy. He was throwing picks too. 2 interceptions, both in Bengals territory. One of them was in the red zone. Then he had a pick 6 that got called back. He was lucky. I mean, he got fucking lucky. He had a pick 6 that got called back because of a penalty. And I just don't understand the move there for the Vikings. They're still in the playoff race at 7-7. But and as a Colts fan, that really just pissed me off. I needed the Bengals to lose. They have the 6th seed right now ahead of us. Would have been a gift there. I had 3 teams I was cheering for, and this was the first one of them. We'll get to the Bears game later, and we'll get to who was the other team in there too. There's another team in there too I was cheering against to help us out, and they didn't get it done. This is the first one. The the Vikings looked like they're going to pull off a win, and they don't. Browning gets another victory. The Bengals are 8-6 with the 6th seed, but actually, we'll get into the playoff race later. They actually have the toughest road remaining of all these 8-6 bunched up teams. They needed to get this one, obviously, because I think they still might be out, even with the win. It looks like they might be squeezed out. So what do you think about the Vikings? Are they in trouble? What do you do? Do you keep Mullins? Do you go back to the young guy? What's going on with him?
I mean, you're definitely in trouble, depending on how you're looking at it. If you're going to probably make the playoffs regardless, I would hope. Sitting there at 7-7, tough loss. I think they were up. Let's see. They're up 24-17, ended up losing 27-24 in OT. Kevin O'Connell, did you watch the end of the game in overtime? They had 3rd and short. They could have put the game away basically if they get a first down, a couple more yards, kick a field goal. He runs a tush push with Brandon Powell. Brandon Powell is about the size of Broden Coulter.
Yeah.
You got dudes that are massive on that team to go ahead and push Mullins' ass across that line, but instead they use Brandon Powell. They get stopped, doesn't work, and then on 4th and short, they decide, fuck it, we're going for it. They run the same exact play, the same exact thing with Broden Coulter pushing Browning or Mullins from the back, and guess what? They don't get it again. So I don't know what O'Connell was thinking there. If I'm a Vikings fan, it's very similar. I question LaFleur's play calling all the time, but that was absolutely ridiculous, and the Bengals just took it from there. I did not realize Browning was cut by the Vikings from the practice squad 2 years ago. Did you see his comment? He's like, or what did he say? He said, never should have fucking cut me or something like that. Let's slow down a little bit, Browning. You're coming into, you got a good start to the career here, but let's not get too animated quite yet. You beat the Vikings, so sorry, Vikings team. So I'll be honest. I wrote them off a couple episodes ago when we found out Joe Burrow was done for the year. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to keep him on there. I can't take him off now that I've already put him on. I still am kind of confident that they're not going to make it. We'll see, but they have more life than I ever thought 3 weeks ago. So congrats to the Bengals. If you're a Vikings fan, I assume you're just like me. Go on to the next. Who do they got next week? They got the Lions, who seem to have found something. We'll get into that later. But I would now say the Vikings ceiling is make the playoffs. Not win a game, not win 2 games, make the playoffs.
Yeah, dude, if they can get to the playoffs after just what's been a brutal year, I mean, they got off to an ugly start. Then they get hot. Kurt goes down. It's like, fuck. We're about 500 now. Yeah, we're hot, but Kirk's out now. I mean, let's just fold in the towel. That's what they were saying. That's what they're saying. They get in the wonder kid, Joshua Dobbs, who miraculously, despite not knowing any of the plays or the players' names, gets them a big dub. I think they won 2 in a row with them, or 2 out of 3. And then that's the reason they're in this playoff race now, is because of those 2 big wins since Dobbs took over. And then he stinks, and then they just pull, even though they're squarely, like, even with the loss right now. And didn't they lose last week too? They're still like squarely.
They won 3-0 to the Raiders. So yeah, they lost.
And they lost 2 or 3 though.
Yes, they lost to the Bears 12-10.
They've lost 2 or 3, and yeah, that's right. They had the 3-0 game. I mean, they're barely winning these games, and they lost 2 or 3. They barely won the third one, and they're still squarely in the playoff race. Why are they switching quarterbacks? I get it was a disaster last week. Nick Mullins was not the answer, and I know he had them in the lead for a while. It just should not have happened. It should not have happened. I think they would have won if the kid plays. Again, this league is phony anyways, Staines. This was one of the fakest weeks of the whole season, and it's just obvious after this week. Adam Schefter was on the Pat McAfee show today talking about it. They're scripting this stuff to get teams down to the wire. They're bunching these teams all together. You got 8-6 teams, 7-7 in the NFC, all just crammed in. And I think the Bengals are going to get squeezed out. They have like they're a 6 seed right now and have like a 35% chance to make the playoffs is the official numbers. The Bills, who are not even the 8 seed, the first team out, they're the 9 seed right now. The second team out, they have like a 70% chance. I know they go off of records and all that. It just seems like the Bengals with Jake Browning, they're not going to be there when it's all said and done. I think they're going to bounce out. I think you're looking at, and we'll get to these games. I'll just segue right into the Colts game right now because they played right after this one. It looks like you're talking Houston Colts Sunday night football week, whatever the fuck it is now, week 18 football. It looks like that's going to be the winner gets into that one. And I think the Bengals bounce out, and we'll have our guest, Jake Beck, to come on a little bit. It looks like the Bills are going to bounce in. So, you may have prematurely called the Bengals out of the playoff race. I think it might work in your favor. I think they are done. Let's go into this Colts game. They played after that game, the noon game, and it was a fucking smackdown on the Pittsburgh Steelers. There's no way to put it. And I get it's Mitch Trubisky, but it was a smackdown. It was a toss-up game. Honestly, I thought we were going to lose. And 30-13 is the final score. It was looking rough right away because we got down 13 a rip and then smoked them ever since then. But right away, it was looking ugly. Zach Moss goes down. Michael Pittman almost got his head taken off. It wasn't looking good. And, especially since, watching this past decade of Colts football, I'm like, this is where the whole season unravels, right here to the Pittsburgh shit Steelers. So the wheels are coming off. This is how it ends. And we banded together. This is a new team. And I keep saying this each week. I'm like, I think we're going to lose. I think Shane Steichen is like, I think he's it. I think he's the answer. He had all these bummy-ass coaches in the past where we would just blow it down the stretch. It doesn't seem like this is written in the cards right now for us yet. I do think we'll win again this week too as well. Who knows? Like I said, it's going to come down to that last game. They might put the young kid Stroud in. I don't know. But we're not dead yet. That's all I know. Hanging on to the 7th seed. I've said this for 4 weeks in a row now. The sentiment remains true. Regular season, it just should come to an end. We played enough games already. You don't want to risk quarterbacks getting hurt. We've already had a bunch of them. Just let's go to the playoffs. That's my opinion from this one. It was a smackdown. And also, shout out Tyler Goodson. I mean, when you find yourselves in a hole, you turn to the Hawkeye, and they did. And on the round game, he went off. And welcome to Indianapolis. Welcome to the NFL, Tyler Goodson. I mean, Hawks in the NFL each week. I never, you're accustomed to your traditional guys. Even as a Colts fan, I never would have thought the day where Tyler Goodson comes off our practice squad and leads us to victory. But he was there, and he played a large role in the big victory. So I gotta shout him out too as well.
Yeah, listen, this game, first time I've watched the Colts from kickoff to end of regulation. And I've got a lot of things. I'll be first to admit, hand up. I've got a lot of things wrong this whole time we've been podcasting for the whole regular season. But there's 2 things I got right, exactly right about this game. One, Steelers suck. Something happened to them. They've now lost 3 straight. I've been saying it for the last since they lost to the Cardinals. They lost to the Cardinals and they lost to the Patriots, both at home. And now they get shit stomped by the Colts after leading 13-0. They're done. I have them written off in my write-off list. Now, you knew we were going to get into the sheets. Earlier in the week, I placed a bet on the Colts. I loved it. Loved it. I placed it on Wednesday, bet on the Colts. Joe Duggan, our previous guest, texted me Saturday morning, Colts, Bengals. Who was the other Saturday game? Colts, Bengals, Lions, parlay. I said, yep, book it. I'm in on the Colts again. Watching the game, Colts go down 13-0. Check the live spread. Colts minus 9.5. Yep, book it. I've been snapping you and Stolken all day. And you're like, why would you bet on the Colts? We're going to lose. This is scripted. The Colts are not going to win. Stolken was like, oh, the whole public's on the Colts. You're dumb for betting on the Colts. Blow me, Cheats. All 3 of those bets hit. The Colts start storming back, kick ass, fucking 30-13. There was never a doubt in the second half that the Colts were going to win that game. Not saying the scripted part. I'm not coming after you for that, but you're a Colts fan. And I was telling you over here as a Packers fan, I said the Colts are going to fucking kick their ass. Steelers suck. I like the Colts. You're telling me not to bet them. So we got to talk about this. So where was your thought? Where was your head there?
Yeah, I should have followed you. I don't say that quite often. So, but I'll give you props when I'll give you credit when credit's due. Should have followed you on that one. Like I said, I'm just used to the past decade of Colts football. I grew up with the Peyton Manning era where we rolled and got things done. Won the Super Bowl 2007. Got back in 2009. Kicked ass in the AFC South every year. I was used to that. And then this last decade has just been a shit disaster. So that's what I've been used to. The last decade is us getting down to the time when it matters and folding. So I would have liked to go back 2 decades ago to the 2000s Colts era, but I haven't seen that in a while. And if we get in the playoffs this year, I think we might be looking at a new era. I don't want to get.
If
I
if you
don't
get
know if
it.
we're going to get in. I don't know. It's going to come down to that last week. It's going to come down to that last week. Was not confident because of what I've seen as a past Colts fan. I couldn't tell you Solkin's reasoning. He said it's because of the money. Look, I'm telling you, during the beginning of the regular season and during the middle of the season, you got to pay attention to where Vegas is at. When it comes down to these last weeks, I think starting with this past week, week 15, which we're covering right now, it comes down to NFL's teams. I don't think Vegas has a fucking sniffer say in who covers the spread or who wins. Maybe they get their over/under money fixing, but I think in terms of hard winners and losers, that comes down to the NFL. And I wouldn't go with the money when it comes down to that, especially when a game like this, when it was like a 1 or 2 point game. I wouldn't look much into where the public money is these last 4 weeks. It's the NFL's teams. I thought it was going to be the Steelers, but apparently the Colts have caught the NFL's eye. I don't know.
Like I said, I've been wrong a million times. I've been wrong more than I've been right probably on this podcast. But that was one I was so confident in that they were going to win that game, and they did. I don't want to jinx anything, but I think if you just win one more game, get the 9 wins, you got a solid shot at being in the playoffs. And not to mention, you play the Raiders and Falcons the next 2 games, which if you play like you've been playing, how many is that in a row now? Well, you lost to the Bengals, but you're 1, 2, 3, 4. You're 5-1 the last 6.
5 out of 6.
So yeah. I'd be, if I were you, I'd be pretty confident they're going to be in the playoffs. You just got to take care of business against the Raiders and the Falcons, or even split them, and then you're playing for a spot against Houston. So I'm gonna add them to my right in list into the playoffs.
You're making me nervous doing that, Sheets.
You shouldn't. You shouldn't, Sheets. You guys have a good team. You're actually sound on defense. You can run the ball. It's next man up mentality in Indianapolis. Pittman goes out. Like you said, Tyler Goodson, the Hawkeye, comes in and plays well enough. Your guy though, number 2. What's that guy's name? He missed the catch in the end zone towards the end of the first half.
Oh yeah, the young guy. I forget his name off the top of my head. He was also a practice squad guy who's been recently called up.
And well, he redeemed himself.
He did.
But he redeemed himself right after that. So props to the Colts. I'm going to write them in my playoffs.
Yeah, that's making me a little nervous with that prediction there. 10 wins in the AFC, you would think should do it. You would think.
Oh, you're in. 10 wins is in.
The problem is there's a possibility where we have 10 wins. There's a possibility where the Texans have 10 wins. There's a possibility where the Denver Broncos have 10 wins. There's a possibility where the Bengals have 10 wins. I mean, it's going to get tricky, and we'll see. I'm not putting us in like that. There's a possibility where we're 10-6 going into the last week, but if we lose to Houston Texans, we're out. There's a possibility where that's a winner takes it. So there's a chance with 10 losses, we're out. It'll all play itself out. That's miles ahead in my world, in the NFL world, especially for a team fighting down to the wire like this. It's just, let's get to this week. We're in right now. If we keep winning right now, there's going to be no doubt about it. If we win out, we're in. We know that. Win all 3, fucking in. Doesn't matter. So,
yep. I'm with you.
I like our odds too. I thought we were going to be scripted to fade, and now I think we can get in. I'm feeling more confident. But you can't slip up and lose the Falcons, or it's a big old mess.
That'd be a crazy world if you guys go 10-7. I guess with the added game, it's not as crazy. But I'd like to see the statistics on a 10-team win not getting in the playoffs. Now, obviously, we've added a game, so it's a little different. But that's just a world. You're right. You just listed four teams that could have 10 wins, and none of them win their division. So it's possible. But that's crazy. 10 wins and you don't even make the playoffs.
It's 50-50. I really do think it's gonna come down to us, Houston, and Buffalo. I think those are the final 3 you're looking at. Obviously, Cincinnati's still there, but like I said, I think they're gonna get squeezed out. It's going to be really tight. It's going to be really tight. And now you have, I mean, we'll get to that game later too. The Jags losing. The AFC South is not out of play yet either. So I'm feeling more confident after last week. Last week I was not feeling confident at all we were going to get into playoffs or even win last week. So it's looking better. I'd say it's about 50-50, a little bit on the plus side. Give me like 52%, 53% confidence rating right now.
Hey, real quick, Drew Olson just texted me. If a 10-win team does, this is legit. We're gonna make him sign a contract. If a 10-win team doesn't make the playoffs, I'll get a brand on my ass cheek.
Sign it right now.
Shout out, Drew Olson. Yeah, I hope to God that happens, and I will be doing the branding on your ass cheek, and I get to choose what it is.
Let's make that deal right now because I think that could happen. I think there's a chance it happens. Let's go to the Saturday night game, and this was another smackdown, kind of like the Thursday night game. Detroit big over Denver, 42-17. The Lions. I was on this one because the Lions were coming in this one with kind of a slump, losing 2 of the last 3. I laid the points. I took the points on the line spread. I think it was like -4. And I thought it was a gimme. And this was the game that they needed, the therapy they needed to get back into tune for the playoffs. That's what I said last week. I said, hey, you probably, even if shit hits a fan and you fumble down the stretch, you're still probably going to be in the playoffs, but you don't want to do that. You want to completely eradicate the old Detroit of old. Get that out of your memory. You don't want to come into the playoffs slumping. So this is the win that they needed over still a playoff hopeful. If the Broncos really would have won this game, this playoff race would have been a big old mess because they would have been 8-6 too right now. You have another 8-6 team to the list. So that we did get a little bit of beneficiary there in terms of the Colts fans from the Lions. Now that was a team that was the team that I wasn't really too nervous about, the Broncos. I would have rather had Buffalo lose. I would have rather had Houston lose, but still, I'll take it. So congratulations, Detroit. Big win for them. I got to talk a little crap because I had Jared Goff pretty high in my quarterback rankings this week, and I got attacked. He's sucking. Why is he still up there? No Dog was chirping me. I said, just wait. No, this was Saturday. I sent out my rankings before the Saturday game started. I said, just wait. We'll talk after the Saturday night game. And Jared Goff did all the talking, 4 touchdowns. Sam Laporta, best tight end in the NFL since George Kittle. He had 3 touchdowns, another Hawks in the NFL moment, and it was a beatdown. What do you think about this game?
2 things. One, these Lions are way more fun to watch than the Lions we've been the last 2 weeks. You have fucking Jared Goff throwing for 5 touchdowns, Laporta grabbing 3 of them, Amon-Ra over 100 yards and a tutty, Jahmyr Gibbs 100 yards and a tutty, David Montgomery runs for 85. I mean, this was just a rout. I mean, that was an offensive clinic they put on. So I hope to God if the Lions can continue this and play like this in the playoffs, it's going to be a really fun NFC side because we're not used to a Lions team like this. Now with that said, that we could revert right back to the old shitty Detroit Lions, but I hope that's not the case. The other thing, I got to give the Broncos some flowers because people forget, I feel like they started out 1-5 this year.
Yeah.
And they're 7-7, including me. I wrote them off. Actually, did we both write them off? No, just me. I wrote them off a while ago. Russell Wilson getting a bunch of shit. They 1-5, they suck, and now they're sitting here 7-7 with a decent shot to make the playoffs. And not to mention, I think I saw this. Let's see, their next 3 games.
Easy cupcakes.
Yeah, Patriots, Chargers, both at home, and then the Raiders. So you're talking about another possible 10-win team there if they win out. I don't know if I have faith in them to win out, but I think they're going to go 9-8 for sure. That's it. The Broncos, you're fighting for that spot. You're maybe not in the Lions league right now, obviously. And the Lions, yeah, like I said, a lot more fun to watch when they're throwing an offense in there like that.
Yeah, like you said, dude, they're getting it on the ground. The rushing game, Gibbs, you said, had over 100 yards. David Montgomery had like 80 yards. They're torching them through the air. I mean, it looked just like that Miami game for the Denver Broncos again. Could not stop a cold. And bad coaching from Sean Payton. There was a play in that game where I thought Javonte Williams was like close to scoring, and he just like didn't reveal it. He's like, "No, we're not. We're just not gonna look at it." Didn't challenge it. They fucking just it was just they blew it. I still think they can win out, and even if they win out, they might not get in. I think they still need some help. Right now, they got about a 20% chance of the playoffs. Right now,
Do they have the most weapons in the NFL? Offensive weapons?
the Broncos.
No, 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 no. The Lions.
They have, I don't know if possibly, I mean, the 49ers got a lot of weapons. I think they have the best athletes.
Yeah.
They're athletic, so athletic on both sides of the ball. Like you watch a Lions game, it's just like it's like an SEC game, kind of like it's just track speed up and down. So they got a lot of athleticism. They have a lot of talent. It's up there. They're definitely up there for most talented rosters. Sneaky too. No one talks about it.
I forgot about the 49ers. You're right. You could make a case for the Eagles, maybe, but they're a team that has a lot of weapons, and when come playoff time, you need some players to step up. They got a couple different options they can go to.
The Lions are good. We knew that from game one when they beat the Chiefs. We knew this was going to be a different Lions team. We thought maybe the division would be a little closer, but we were pretty certain they were going to be in the playoffs one way or the other, whether the division winner or wild card. And I think they've won the division pretty much. I don't know if they officially clinched it or not, but it's pretty much theirs.
We can call it a clinch. They're biting kneecaps. They won the division.
So I mean, they're a good team, and like you said, they're more fun when we watch this team. I like them a lot better. Now we get to the Sunday games. Let's just gloss over this snoozer quick. Carolina over the Falcons 9-7. It does have some importance to the NFC race. It probably pushes. I mean, they still have hope because of the race. The division winner is still 7-7, and now the Falcons are 6-8. So they still have hope, but I think they're just about out of that playoff race. I think it's going to be pushed down to New Orleans and, of course, Tampa Bay. It seems like those are their two teams: Baker, Derek Carr, the Falcons, Arthur Smith, and Desmond Ridder. I don't see it happening. I think they're done. I think Arthur Smith needs to be shit canned as well. He coaches his team like he's got his head stuck in a bucket. He's got Bijan Robinson, who was lighting it up for him at the beginning of the year. Remember, I was like, dude, this guy could be rookie of the year. And he doesn't get the ball. And I get he had a big fumble right away at the beginning of the game, but he didn't get any touches after that. They said, we'll go with Tyler Algier. Cordell Patterson, the washed-up kick returner who's like 33, we'll give him carries. But Bijan, top 10 pick, rookie, future of the team, nah. You fumble it once, you're done. Even though we'll have guys like Desmond Ridder go out there and stink it up every week, and he gets to keep playing. He keeps getting his chances. So I think Arthur Smith needs to get fired. I don't know if this is year number 2 for him or year number 1, year 3. Doesn't matter. I think he needs to get fired. Desmond Ridder threw a boneheaded pick in the red zone again. They need a new quarterback. They need a new coach. I think they're done. Congrats to Bryce Young. I forget their new interim coach's name. It's his first career win as their coach after Frank Reich got fired. So good for him getting his first career win. Bryce Young, he did all right in the rain, but we don't need to throw him any parade. They still have the worst record in the NFL. So that was my takeaway there.
Yeah, I've told you last time, these are box score games. This is a box score division. 9-7, Panthers, Falcons. I'd rather watch, I don't know, what's Bobby Stallings' podcast?
Barbecue Chief on YouTube.
Shout out Barbecue Chief and Bobby, but I would have rather watched Barbecue Chief for a week straight than this Falcons-Panthers game, so I didn't. I'm ready to write the Falcons off. I think you're right. You've been saying it for a couple weeks that the Falcons are out of this race. It's Saints and Bucks that are playing for this division. So I just put them on my list. I assume sitting there at 6-8, you're not going to want to put them on yours.
Put them on. They still.
Yep.
They still. I mean, like I said, they could rattle off 3 wins in a row, and those other teams could fumble it. But they're out. They're out. You gotta, when you get down to these weeks, if you want to predict what's going to happen, you got to put on your NFL hat. They don't. The NFL doesn't want Desmond Ridder and Arthur Mustache Smith in the playoffs. They were going to get squeezed out. You had a 3-team race for the longest time. It was obvious they were the third man out. They're getting squeezed out. Now, I don't know what's going to happen to these last two. I still would like to think they're going to go with my team. But that's the Saints being, because I had them locked in the beginning of the year to win this division. I got money on it. I'm holding on. But I'm starting to think, maybe Baker Mayfield and the Bucks makes more sense to get in. I don't know. It's down to those two, but you can write the fuck off Atlanta Falcons. Kick them out. Fire Arthur Smith too. And let's move to the next noon game. I mean, you talk about box score divisions. Well, this box score team put the whooping on you. So I'll let you open up because I gave you enough time now. You gotta let us know what's going on with the Packers. 2 straight losses now.
Yeah, so I didn't get to touch on the Giants loss last week, obviously, because they played Monday night. We taped the show before Monday. So we lost to the Giants. I told you that one was going to be close. I did think we were going to win. They beat us last year at home, I believe. Yeah. Yep, they beat us at home last year. And we go on the road and we lose. Or no. Yeah, we're on the road in New York and lose to them. So at that point, I'm thinking, all right, maybe you need that game. You beat the Lions and Chiefs. You're riding too high. Take a loss. Get back home and let's figure things out. So fast forward to Sunday. I'm thinking we're Gucci. We're going to win. This is box score division. This is the bullshit league, the NFC South. And what happens? We look like shit. Our defense looked like shit. Let me pull up some stats for you, Sheets. We had the same amount of drives they did, which was 9. And they put up 452 yards on us total. We made Baker Mayfield look like Tom Brady 5 years ago. 22 for 28, 4 touchdowns, 381 yards, average completion 13 yards. What are we doing? I thought we had a decent team. We don't, Sheets. We have a just below decent team. And I'm glad Jordan Love looked good. That's about the only good takeaway I've got from these 2 games is Jordan Love did look good this week, but our defense is just trash. Now we put ourselves in a hole. We're 6-8. We have to win out to get to 9-8. The schedule is favorable, but so have the last 2 weeks. So it's kind of tough to know what's going to happen here. I guess we're just on a game-by-game basis. That Vikings-Packers game, New Year's Day, I think.
Yeah.
Let's see, is that New Year's Day?
New Year's Eve.
New Year's Eve. That game is gonna make the winner of that's gonna be in the playoffs, I think.
Yeah.
I think we take care of business against the Panthers next week. I'm not worried about the Panthers. Used to just being like, oh, that's a dub. We play the Vikings. Like we had Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre the past 20 years. Now I'm back where it's like I don't know. I'm a little scared to play the Vikings, even though they've looked so shitty. I don't know. I'm sure I'll talk myself back into it. Right now, I don't like our chances to make the playoffs. I like the way we're heading offensively. We're getting better every week on the offense, but we just don't have it on the defense, and that's what wins championships. So that's it. 2 terrible losses. Next game, take care of business in Carolina.
I like your guys' odds. I mean, you'll beat Carolina next week. Don't worry about that. Like you said, it's gonna be that game. I mean, if you lose, you're 7-9. You're obviously done. Like you said, you got to win out. But and I look at the game. It's a pick 'em. I like you guys in that game. Look at 2 weeks. It just seems like that's a Packers game where they kind of go in there and steal that one because that's on the road, I believe.
Yep.
I think that's one where they steal that one from the Vikings on the road, if I had to guess. So I like you guys' odds. It's going to be, I mean, and then you play a cupcake game last week too, right? So
play the Bears, who look better, but should be a win. Yeah,
it should be. Yeah, I think you guys are doing okay still. I would think you guys can get to the finish line. You said defensively, not good look. Tommy DeVito lights it up on you on Monday night. Tommy Cutlets, and then Baker Mayfield, 380 yards and 4 touchdowns. So I mean, like you said, it all comes down to that game, that Vikings game. You got to win that game. Beat the Panthers next week. I know you will. Beat the Vikings, and then who knows?
We're only 4.5 favorites next week against the Panthers. I'm gonna hammer it, but that if that tells you anything, we're only 4.5 favorites against the Carolina Panthers, the 2-12 Panthers. That's a problem.
Moving along, we had an OT game. This was the other team I was thinking of. I said there's teams I was cheering for this week who I thought were going to help the Colts out, and it was the Bears, and it was going back to that Thursday game. It was also, or excuse me, going back to the first Saturday game, it was also the Bengals. I needed the Vikings to beat them. I needed the Vikings. I needed the Bears, and then I needed my arch nemesis Tennessee Titans this week to beat the Texans, and I thought they were going to do it as well. I had three teams, like I said, I was cheering for: Chicago, Tennessee, and Cincinnati, and they were all ahead. All had to look, and I was all looking at like this is perfect. This is perfect, and they all just blew it. Had the jaws of life ripped out right from under them. This was a nightmare game. The Texans, like I said, I'm praying they get their asses handed to them. They trot out dusty old ass Case Keenum. I'm thinking there's no way this guy gets a win. I forgot he was even in the league. I know he was in the Browns a couple years ago. I guess he was a backup for the Bills last year, I think. Somebody. I forgot about that. I didn't realize that. So fucking old ass Case Keenum comes out, looks like he's drunk to start the game, throws an awful pick six, and then but what do you know? He comes back. Next thing I know, the game's tied, and then you go to OT. He pulls it off. Case Keenum also had a miraculous pass to Dalton Schultz. He threw it in a triple coverage. I forgot how Case Keenum plays, dude. That guy just fucking runs around, hucks it up. He threw a wild pass, man. I don't know how Dalton Schultz caught it. He caught it through traffic and then some. Just making plays, and Tennessee couldn't get it done. Will Levis, supposed to be the wonder kid. Well, I needed you last week, dog, and you didn't get it done. This is another tough game because a loss would have put the Texans at 7-7. Now they're 8-6, and that Week 18 game comes back into play. If they were 7-7, that last game of the year might not mean nothing.
Well, I'll tell you what, Sheets. I was on the opposite side of that. My dad and I picked the Texans in our Pick'em league, so I'm glad they got the dub. Sad for you and the Colts, but it did benefit us. And I'm just looking at the box score. I followed the game a little bit on Sunday, but am I reading this right? Derrick Henry, 16 carries, 9 yards. What the fuck?
I don't know.
Are they banged up on the O-line, or is Houston's run defense just like insane? What? How does that happen?
Houston's D is good. I mean, our offense. I mean, everyone talks about their offense, CJ Stroud, but DeMeco Ryans is the defensive dude, and he's dialing up the D. And he looked good yesterday. Only gave up 16 points to Will Levis, who's been kind of ripping defenses apart the last couple of weeks. And then I think Derrick Henry did have a touchdown maybe at the beginning, but that was it. He didn't get anything going after that. I was watching this game like a hawk. And, I mean, the Titans also aren't very good either. You also have fucking Mike Vrabel. There's their head coach. He doesn't know how to fucking run a team. So it was a little bit of both. But it was tough.
That's tough. The Titans, that franchise is just going downhill. They are – I don't see them being anywhere in the playoffs in the next 3-4 years. And I think Vrabel's maybe going to leave.
It's an interesting situation there to see what they do with him. If they keep him because he's gotten to the playoffs a couple of times, like I don't know if he's necessarily like on the hot seat. I haven't heard a lot of rumors about him.
Whoa. Sheets. If he leaves, it'll be on his word. The Titans would love. I bet you they'd love to have Vrabel for the next 5 years. He's a great coach, I think. I think it's just the talent's not there. They're not on the Titans.
I don't know how great of a coach he is. He's had success there, but I don't know. I think he's like in the same level as Brandon Staley. It's like they're not awful, but
oh man, I don't know. I like Vrabel. I think he's got a, and maybe I'm just falling victim to his personality. I love his personality, so maybe that's what it is. But I think there's some rumors out there about He played for the Patriots. Belichick leaving.
That's
Vrabel,
right.
new head coach of the Patriots. I would love to see that. I think it's just hard to win in Nashville, Tennessee. So I think he's
Yeah,
a good coach.
I think that'd be a good move for him if he did end up going on because Bill Belichick is getting shit canned. We all know that. I was calling for him to get axed months ago, and I think the Patriots as a whole would have been a better team, better franchise for that. But they'll fire him at the end of the year. Bill Belichick will be gone. Ron Rivera, Riverboat will probably get fired in Washington. So there's a chance old man goes over there. I don't know. They have Eric Bieniemy, but I've been hearing a lot of rumors about that. So we'll see what happens. If he that I think I would love to bet on Mike Vrabel leaving Tennessee for that Patriot job. It's a better job, in my opinion.
Oh
Even
yeah,
with
no doubt.
even with shitty roster, like you got to start over, but they love him there. I mean, he's already had been above average at best to Tennessee and has had great job security. Imagine what he could do back home, with his old team. He could probably be fucking set for years. They've been rolling with that old man the last couple of years. It seems like they're not willing to make any moves necessarily. So he could be set for life, even if he stinks, goes there and stinks. I think Vrabel should leave.
We got a lot of games to get through. I feel like the no bye weeks threw us off. We're used to a pace, and now we got to go back and adjust.
Let's do let's go through a lightning round here. These next games. We moving on. We have Miami. They roll New York 30 to rep. I mean, they got a tough schedule looking forward ahead, but they needed to get a win. They got to win. Coog Hunter was back this week for the Jets. They play on Christmas next week. Aaron Rodgers coming back. Man, that's about it. Miami keeps the pace of the playoff race. You got anything to
add? No, fins up. I said they're going to win the division. I still think they're going to win the division, even with that tough schedule. And that I know they beat the Jets, but the Jets defense is good. I mean, one of the better defenses in the NFL. So to put up 30 points without Tyreek Hill, I think is impressive. So yeah, they look good.
Then you can move on with the Rams over.
Hold up, stop. Our guest is a Rams fan. We'll get to that one.
Perfect. Good to know. Let's move on to the 49ers Cardinals game. I thought Cardinals were going to cover plus 12.5. They didn't. They are still sitting well for that the first pick in the draft. Carolina still holds it, but Arizona's still in the mix. So, I mean, if you're a Cardinals fan, you probably don't want to win that game. And then San Francisco avoids the ugly loss. They hold on to the 1 seed still. They can cruise on to next week.
I hope your guys aren't giving you shit still for having Purdy up in your quarterback rankings because the guy just continues to prove you and I correct. I mean, he had 242 yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks. So he's good. He's great. He's probably going to win the MVP.
I mean, you know me, Russell. I'm a Hawkeye fan. I wouldn't give Brock Purdy credit if I didn't think he deserved it. He's a good quarterback. If he was just riding the coattails, I would be the first guy to be saying it. I can't say that. He's actually good. He's actually a good quarterback. So, moving on. We'll keep this one. We'll keep this one for back when he gets on too. He gets on. So that leaves us with just a couple games left. Cleveland over Chicago. It's another team where I'm rooting for Chicago, and this one I think pissed me off the most. I kind of expect the Bengals to win, and I kind of expected Tennessee to win, even with old man Keenum. But the Bears, I really thought were going to pull this off, and they were up 2 scores. Of all those games, they had the best chance to do it. And so I'm not a big fan of the Bears this week. I don't have a lot of good things to say about them. So since we got to move along, I'll keep it short and sweet. Not a fan of Chicago Bears. They pissed this one away, and I get a lot of flack about where I put Justin Fields in my quarterback rankings. I put him in the bottom half almost every week. He's won a couple games and started to move up. He's going to take a big tumble this week. Couldn't get it done. Did it just enough to get him a big lead. Wet his pants at the end. And then a big old script job at the end there with I forget who the receiver was there at the end for the Bears. Lands
DJ
right
Moore.
in his lap. No, I don't think it was. I think it was the other guy. Landed right in his lap, and he just fucking drops it. Flat out drops it. Got it. Drops it, and then not only does he drop it, he fucking punts it up. He volleyballs it right to the Browns guy who picks it off. Some of the fakest shit. That was probably the fakest play I saw all week. I mean, literally threw it right in the bucket to him. It wasn't where it's batted around and, it's 50-50 in his hands. Okay, he can't complete the catch. I get it. It's still up 50, it's still a Hail Mary. But then he fucking just punts it, balloons it up right to a Browns guy. It was just comical. So nothing good to say about the Bears this week. Screwed us. Now the Browns are probably in, I think, no matter what happens.
Yes, I would agree. We can write the Browns in. I was on the opposite side again for this game. I had bet the Browns. They're part of a parlay of mine that ended up winning, but only because Darnell Mooney, that's his name, just dropped a wide open. Like, it was batted to him, but it hit him right in the hands, right in the breadbasket, and he missed it. I could make that catch. If you put me in that exact same situation, I'm making that catch. I'm winning the game. We're going back to Chicago, getting fucked up. Darnell Mooney, who gets paid $1 million a year or more, needs to catch that. But regardless, I was a big Browns fan. I had them -3 in a parlay, so that voided. But I was very happy to see the Browns beat the Bears. And I kind of, you want to know something, Sheets? The Browns are just as good as, I'll say, the Bills when they're at home, and then they're like the Jets on the road. They're one of 4 teams in the league that have. I mean, they're 7-1 at home. The only other teams that have just one loss at home: Dolphins, 49ers, Eagles. It's pretty fucking good company. Their defense is stout at home, and I like them at home, but I will continue to bet on them when they're on the road. So who do they got next week? They play on the road at the Texans. Yes. CJ Stroud's back. I will be betting on the Texans. The live line is Houston -2.5. Hammer it. I don't think they can play on the road. They're 2-4 on the road. And this is another week. You're going to be cheering for the Browns, I assume, here.
Yes, I mean, I would love. It could go either way. If the Browns probably yes, I would rather have the Browns. I'd rather the Browns win. To really just bounce Houston out. I don't want that last game to mean anything. I would like to jump up another spot at the same time, so the Browns losing necessarily isn't a bad thing either. I would like to move up out of that 7 spot. I don't want to go right now. We'd be playing Miami if we were the 7 seed. I don't want to do that. I would rather have, I would rather probably play KC maybe, and it was kind of struggling a little bit. It's tough to ask either way, but you could go either way. I'm probably leaning Browns this week. Yes, I don't want that team to game to mean squat.
And because of what I just said, the Browns have 0 chance. Their ceiling is also make the playoffs. They cannot win a game in the playoffs. They will be playing on the road, and they just can't. Sorry, Cleveland. If we have any Cleveland fans, I'm sorry. Staggy, if you're listening, they suck on the road, and they're not going to have a home game. So they cannot, will not, won't win a playoff game.
All right. Is that all the games? Do we have any other noon games to get to? I think we covered them all. Giants and Saints. And the
your boy.
And the Chiefs too. So let's go. Yes, let's go to the NFC South. My boy Derek Carr did light it up. I saw this one coming. Tommy DeVito, who also, by the way, big fan of. He's in a little bit of murky water. You saw that he said he was gonna supposedly some local pizza place out in New York said they had an agreement with Tommy Cutlets to come out there and do like a fan signing in their restaurant. They said they'd pay him $10,000 if he showed up to the restaurant and like signed autographs. It's good promotion for them. You have an NFL quarterback in their pizza place, and then I guess after that Monday night win over the Packers, supposedly they claim that his agent, Mr. Suit and Fedora Man, supposedly told him no, 20,000 now. Our price has gone up to 20,000. So it's a classic case of yesterday's price is not today's price. So I hope that's not true. The agent came out and said we never had any agreement with this pizza place. We had some talks, but that was it. But either way, that was something I noticed with the Giants that was going on. Also, DeVito's agent this week wore a green suit, was rocking a green suit, looked good again. So, it was a tough loss for them. They're out of the playoffs, but they got some storylines the last couple of weeks. I thought it was pretty cool. Tommy Cutlets is a cool story, and I hope that pizza story is not real. because I think the guy's got something to him. I hope that Tommy DeVito is just not some flash in the pan we're talking about 30 years later when we're in season 30 of Lamb on the Line. We're talking about, remember Tommy DeVito, that guy for the Giants, played 3 games? I hope he's not one of those guys. I hope he gets something going here. We'll see what the league makes out of him, but the Giants are done. The Saints needed this one. I hammered the Saints -5.5. I put them in the teasers. I knew this was going to be a lock because I knew if they lost, it wasn't going to be good for the playoff hopes. And I knew that the league was going to get them a win. It's going to come down to them in Tampa Bay. So I was all over this one. I mean, you got to hand it hard. Playing with the hurt rib gets it done.
Oh, Roethlisberger used to play with 5 broken ribs. Anyway, Tommy DeVito, man's a genius. Okay, he's made his name for himself. That's exactly what you want to do as a backup in the NFL. Make a name for yourself, get your name out there, have a story, and sell some jerseys. And that's what he does. What's he do after that? He goes and gets whoever Joe Schmo is, that his agent that just looks like a clown the past 2 weekends in his crazy suits he has. Add even more to his brand. And then guess what? Shit like this pizza joint happens, you just blame it on the agent. You blame it on the clown-looking agent that's sitting in the stands in a leopard suit. So I think he's done everything correctly so far, other than he's had a couple games that weren't great. This was one of them. But I hope you're right. I hope Tommy DeVito is a starting quarterback next year at the very least. I hope he's a backup somewhere.
I think he's earned his role as a starter in the NFL. I've seen all I need to see from Tommy DeVito. And the last noon game before we get into our games that involve our guests, it was the Kansas City Chiefs over the Pats. And like we said, Bill Belichick is on his way out. Was not the most cleanly played game for Kansas City. Travis Kelce had probably the worst game of the season, dropping passes, didn't look good. And, the Patriots, give him credit. When the Chiefs fucked up, they took advantage of all those mistakes and they put points on the board, so they kept this thing close. But if Kansas City doesn't shoot themselves in the foot, they were going to roll them. They're going to roll them. It was clear as day they're a better team, but they're just screwing around. I know you say a win's a win, but it still wasn't great. It wasn't very clean. And Taylor Swift was in the crowd, so we still got that going, I guess. Isn't she on tour? I don't know.
She mouthed fuck so hard into the TV they displayed it for the whole world to see. Which Swifties, where you got to get on that. By the way, the Chiefs. I'm looking at their schedule. This isn't the Chiefs we've seen in the past. Chiefs. I'm going to list off their wins, and you're going to tell me how many impressive wins they have. Okay. Jaguars.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, 1. The Bears, no. The Jets, no. The Vikings,
no. Game too.
The Broncos, no. The Chargers, no. The Dolphins, yes. So there's 2. And then they lose to the Eagles. They beat the Raiders. That's not impressive. Lose to the Packers, lose to the Bills, and then beat the Pats. So they have 2 good wins on their schedule. And I know you're a product of you got to play who's on the schedule. I get that. But you had a chance to beat the Eagles, you didn't. You had a chance to beat the Bills, you didn't. I don't know. Am I crazy for thinking maybe they're not? Obviously, if you have Patrick Mahomes, you're a Super Bowl contender, but I don't think they're on the same echelon as some of the other teams.
I haven't thought they were legit this entire season. Not once did I think this team was going back to the Super Bowl. I'll say it right now. They ain't going to be in the Super Bowl this year. I hope you had fun last year. You're not going to be back this year. You lost to the Lions week 1, like we talked a little bit about earlier, and then the wins that they did have. You said they beat the Jets. I remember that game. They barely won that shit. The Vikings game, close game. Like that was a 1-score game. The Chargers, I think they beat pretty easily. I forget who else was on that list. The Broncos, I think that was an ugly game if I remember too. I don't think that was very impressive. And then even the games that win by like 10 points, like the Pats yesterday, still not impressive. So I'm not a big Kansas City believer right now. I mean, I don't think they're going to get the 2 seed. I think they're probably going to get the 3 seed. And, I wouldn't be surprised if they lose one of these remaining 3 games, whether it be to Cincinnati, Browning, whether it be to the Raiders or maybe I don't think it'll be the Chargers. I think they'll win the last game. But these next 2 weeks, I think there's a chance they go 1-1 here. Whether it's to the Raiders or Bengals, I don't know, but they're not impressing me. I don't think they're going to sniff the Super Bowl this year. If I'm a Chiefs fan, if I'm in the AFC Championship game, I think I'm tickled because I don't think they're going to get that far. I think they're one and done.
Well, you heard it here, Amir and Funk. You're not the same Chiefs you used to be. Until you get Patrick Mahomes some more weapons and not these doodleheads at wide receiver, you're not playing in the Super Bowl, per Meisner. I agree with him.
Yeah, it was just a clown behavior from Mahomes last week, and they don't follow up with much better product this week, and writing's on the wall. This team's not very good. I would take Miami over them. I'd take Baltimore over them, obviously. I don't think they're much better than Jacksonville. So, and yeah, let's bring in our two guests now, though. Welcome to the stage, Jack Klingel, and our recurring guest, Jake Beck. Welcome in, boys.
Hello, how's it going?
How we doing? What up, Shmoo?
What up, Goose?
How we doing?
Well, 3 of our teams here won this last weekend, and one of us didn't. I think we all know who that is. I want to start with the Rams and their win this week and what they're going for and why they're maybe have a chance to make a Super Bowl run in your mind. And then I want to get into the Cowboys Bills. Let's start with the Rams. What do we got from that game this weekend?
Well, I think it's just been most of the same that we've seen for the last month or so. The offense has been rolling. Cooper Kupp's been getting a little bit more healthy. Stafford, he's getting protected and he's dealing. Honestly, I've been, outside of Josh Allen, Brock Purdy, Dak before this week, and maybe a few other guys. There's really no other quarterbacks playing better than Stafford, I'd say, since their bye week after the Packers game that he missed. They don't. I wouldn't really say there's a Super Bowl run. I think they can make the playoffs and maybe compete in a game or two, but there's no Super Bowl run. They don't have enough game changers on defense to do that. But it was a good game. What?
I kind of disagree with you. I think the Rams are hitting stride at the perfect time. Matt Stafford's.
I'd say no one wants to I think that everybody, if you're the Eagles or the Lions or whoever's in the 2-3, you'd rather play the Packers or the Vikings just because there's no McVay Stafford connection. Kupp, if he's healthy, is there. Puka's another good weapon to have. And it's, you always have to go against Aaron Donald, even though the back end is a bunch of rookies and honestly, just a lot of them are trash. That's the biggest problem with the Rams is if they can get burnt over the top way too often, and that can't happen in the playoffs. They don't have Leonard Floyd or Von Miller anymore like old Goose does over there. So they've got good rookies. Byron Young's good, Kobe Turner's good, but again, they're young. They're rookies. They're not going to have the same impact in January that a Von did or something.
Let's first of all, Von Miller is damn near in a coffin. He's closer to being in a coffin than he is being a.
But with the Rams, he was very impactful. That's what I'm saying.
But I think a couple of the reasons you mentioned there, you got Matt Stafford, Super Bowl winning quarterback, Sean McVay, Super Bowl winning. You still have some of those pieces. The Cooper Kupp. Now you add Nakua. You still got to go against Aaron Donald. I kind of I like the Rams. Meisner, do you think the Rams could make a run at it?
At the whole thing, possibly not. But man, if the Rams end this regular season and they are a playoff team,
the Niners.
Yeah, there's some buzzsaws in the NFC. I don't see them making a Super Bowl run. But if you're the Rams and you in the regular season in the playoffs, you're feeling good because of one reason. You have Matthew Stafford as your quarterback, one of the best quarterbacks the game has seen in our era.
That's right.
So,
you hear that, Goose?
You have to feel good with them.
Wow.
I'll say this. So the last thing on the Rams, if we want to move on, but the basically they've got the Saints this Thursday night that they've got to win, and then they've got the Giants on the road. So 2 very winnable games. You could get to 9-7. They play the Niners on the road week 18. So you really have to go 2-0, or else you're looking at a game you've got to go beat the Super Bowl favorite to get into the playoffs. So you'd rather not have that happen. If you win the next 2, you're probably in. It probably doesn't matter. What I hope happens is they get in as the 6th, and they would play the Lions if the Lions stay the 3, which would be an intriguing first-round matchup to look forward to.
Yeah,
They get the 6. I like that.
Yeah, I think you guys can beat the Lions. Beck's right. If you run into the 49ers, just call it a day, pack your bags, and go to Cuba or wherever you want to vacation at. But give it no doubt, you guys will win. You guys will beat the Saints. You guys will beat the Giants. I have full confidence in the Rams in that. More importantly, let's move on, because this was a huge day for Meisner's second team, the Dallas Cowboys, the Fraud Boys, and our most recurring guest, Jake Beck's Bills. So I'll let Beck start, because I know he's all hot and bothered by these Cowboy fans. They're getting in his head all week up until the game, and you guys kicked their ass. So go ahead, Beck.
In all due respect, Meisner, because that is your second team.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
That was fucking embarrassing. That was
With respect.
flat out embarrassing. And Bills are clicking. I like to see it. I think what our goal ahead of us before the year is going to continue to be that, because let's be real. Bills are going to be making the playoffs. All right. I think we all agree on that. And
I agree with that. Yes.
with how Joe Brady is coaching this offense and the way James Cook is obviously clicking, I think that Super Bowl, let alone the playoffs, is definitely in my vision right now, in tunnel vision right now. I can see it. I think if we can run the ball like that and our defense plays like that, I think we're adjusting in the fact that Trey White and Matt Milano, that everyone forgets about. I think all guys are clicking on defense, and I love to see it. But yes, Meisner, I'm sorry. There's really not much to talk about with the Cowboys right there. I mean, I kind of forgot they were even playing. But regardless, I mean, Bills look good. I love to see it. James Cook running the ball. That's how you're going to get to that Super Bowl. And that's how they haven't the past couple of years. And I think Ken Dorsey, like I said before the year, I was the first one to say it. Let's all be honest here. I was the first one to say Ken Dorsey needs to get the fuck out of town. And look what Joe Brady did to that team. Look what Joe Brady did to that offense. Look what he did to James Cook. PFF on Twitter today. Now, I understand PFF can make mistakes here. But Spencer Brown, I got to shout out my boy Spencer Brown, had a 92 grade, which was like best in the NFL. So chalk that up. Lions playing good. Dawkins is getting after it, just mowing people down. Just fucking hit a motherfucker in the face. Run your ass over. And Klingel, your Rams fucking stink. That's all I have to say.
Meisner, because your Cowboys, I told you last week, I admitted I was wrong. They finally beat a good team, the Eagles. And then I gave you your flowers and BJ. But then what I say after that, I said, I got you right where I want you. Build the Cowboys up like they always do, just similar to the Bills. Build them all up and then crash.
Bills can beat good teams.
In the regular season.
They're going to run through Miami week 18. You heard
it. Where are we at for a Cowboys fan, Meisner? Because they looked like trash on Sunday.
They did. I'm not too upset. This was I saw this one coming. This was the scripted game of the year. This was the scripted game of the year. This was my biggest bet of the season, was on Buffalo -2 yesterday. I fucking
Did
knew.
you fall asleep second half?
What's that?
Did you fall asleep in the second half? Or no?
No, I
Did
was
you
I was
continue to
watching.
watch?
I was watching. I stuck through it. But the league was going to get the Bills in the playoffs, so I had big money on Buffalo -2 yesterday. I saw that one a mile away. In terms of Cowboys, not your best day at work, but you move on. You still got a shot at the division. You're rooting for Seattle to get it done tonight. Fucking doesn't matter if Geno Smith plays or the kid plays. Drew Lock, you're cheering for Seattle tonight. Hope for the best. I don't know. I mean, it was embarrassing. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It was a smackdown, and I'm not afraid to admit it because I knew it was coming.
Who do they have next?
I think Cowboys are destined for the same exact thing as last year. They're going to be the 5 seed because the Eagles have an easy schedule. Cowboys are going to be the 5. They're going to beat the NFC South winner, and then they end up right back in San Francisco, and they're probably going to get the brakes beat off.
I think you're right, man. I've already been looking at the scenarios. That looks like that's how it's going to play out. The 5 seed again, win a road playoff game. Mike McCarthy feels all good, and then reality hits the next week.
I mean, none of the people on this call have been alive to see a conference championship appearance, let alone a Super Bowl appearance. So and I don't see it. I'm going to have to see it to believe it with the Cowboys. So. Yeah, I'll say divisional round exit again. So
I want to touch on 2 things, Goose, about the Bills. Make no mistake, they're not going to play consistent enough to win a Super Bowl. They can't string 3 wins together.
When you can run the ball like that, and you got Joe Brady calling plays with the defense clicking at the right time sheets, I think we're destined for greatness this year. I think so. I think the Bills and the Cowboys are the same team, and they're gonna be the same team for the next 10 years. Okay, I was kind of sugarcoating or kind of exaggerating. I think they'll be in the playoffs. I think the AFC Championship is in the picture. I think we're back to what we used to be playing back in 2020 or 2021, whenever it was, and right before Daboll left that last year. I think that's where we're at. They're using Josh Allen more, running the ball, and more teams are thinking about it. And then you have Ty Johnson. I don't know how much you guys know him, but he was at the Jets, and he's been our 4th string because Damian Harris, and he's been playing good. Our line's been playing good, and of course James Cook. I mean, obviously he's not going to run the ball like that every game, but if you got the threat and you're not fucking using Josh Allen, the dude had not even 30 attempts, let alone maybe 20. So I don't know.
The AFC is wide open. There's no. If the Ravens are the 1 seed and the best team, Lamar hasn't proven anything in the playoffs yet. It's not like KC the past however many years. It's they got Mahomes and all these guys, and
I would much rather. I mean, I'm more worried about I'm not worried, but if it were the Chiefs or Ravens, I'd probably play the Ravens.
I want one quick last thing on the Bills, and then I've got an argumental topic to bring up. Where are we at with Sean McDermott? Because he kind of was on the hot seat there for a minute. You got these 9/11 stories coming out about Sean McDermott.
Teams. I don't care. I don't care about that. What other?
Okay.
I mean,
so you like him as a head coach?
I would like to see someone else, but I don't know. I mean, he beat Kansas City when there was under a minute left. I mean, if Kansas City had a chance after that offside, they could have went down and could have kicked a field goal, tied it up. But no, they were fucking bitching and complaining, fucking crying. Their fucking quarterback was crying on the fucking sideline. Fucking baby back bitch, you got Funk. But I'm just saying, I don't know. I was more pissed with Philly and Denver I mean, that's all coach. Sending out 12 players. Like, dude's a fucking retard, excuse my language. But I don't know. I mean, I like Joe Brady. Get him head coach. Give him
I wasn't trying to throw any shade on McDermott. I was genuinely curious to see what you had thought about him. But okay, so you'd like to see someone else. I want to touch on one thing because we got two NFC fans on my right side, two AFC fans on the left side. When we came into this season, all I heard was, "Oh, the AFC is so much better than the NFC. The quarterbacks are so much better." All this talk about how good the AFC is. I'm ready to say the NFC is the tougher side.
I think the AFC is deeper, but the NFC is more likely to have the Super Bowl champ.
I think so too. I think the Super Bowl champ comes out of the NFC. Are two AFC fans got anything to say?
The AFC, you've got like 10 teams probably that could make the playoffs at 9-8. Where the NFC, it's like the Rams, the Vikings, Packers, and then maybe the Saints or the Bucks or something. But like none of those teams are I would say literally other than like the Rams, just because they've looked really good the last month. I mean, the Packers, I don't think their defense looked like Swiss cheese this week against Baker. Did you see Sheets? Did you see that Baker was the first opposing quarterback in history to have a perfect passer rating at Lambeau Field? So that was a great day. Great day for your defense.
On us. Yeah, what do you want me to say? We suck. We lost to the Giants and we lost to the Bucks.
But no, the AFC the AFC's deeper, I think, with more above average teams, where the NFC has like the 49ers, Eagles, and then
Cowboys you can throw in there. But here's the thing though. Yes, Funk's right. Everyone's heard the AFC. Okay, whatever. Miser and I just talked about this. Okay. The Chiefs aren't what they used to be. You have a Joe Burrow-less Bengals. You have a Bills. Funk's right. Everyone's heard the AFC. Okay, whatever. Why am I hearing an echo? Okay, the Chiefs aren't what they used to be.
So
Fucking dumbass back. The Chiefs are what they used to be. Buffalo's sitting there at a 9 seed. The AFC South is becoming like we don't even know who's going to come out of that. And outside of that, you got the Dolphins and the Ravens. So, and then you got the Browns who have Joe Flacco. There's just not, the injuries have happened, and that's for sure an excuse for the AFC. But I'm just looking at some of these teams. They're not as good as the NFC teams.
I think obviously it's a deeper league, so it depends on what you value, man. We don't have bum ass Minnesota that's fighting for playoff spots in the American Football Conference. We don't have fucking Danny Dimes DeVito, whatever, Tommy DeVito out there beating teams each week. We don't have the NFC South winner with 7 wins gets be dancing. So I don't know. San Francisco is the best team in the NFL, in my opinion. But I mean, I'm an American Football Conference guy. I'd take our league over that national football crap any day.
All right. I just wanted to pose that out there because I think the Super Bowl winner is going to be an NFC team, and I think that's locked in. But
I mean, if it's the 49ers, that's an easy bet, man. Congrats.
Even the Eagles. I can see the Eagles win the Super Bowl. Like but
Chief, that doesn't just because that doesn't mean it's a better league just because one team won.
I'm just saying, you look at the Eagles, you look at the 49ers, there's no 2 teams like that in the AFC.
Baltimore is really good.
Buffalo.
Miami is really good. Kansas City's the former champs, but they're not playing great. And then, division winner of the Jags, the 4th seed.
Kansas City's receivers catch it with their face. They try catching it with their fucking face, not their fucking hands.
Didn't you say that last night, Beck? Andy Reid said in the press conference, Kadarius Toney tried catching the ball with his face. That's
with his face, with his visor. He had a fucking visor. Thought he was cool and shit. Can't even catch a ball. And then fucking hits him off the fucking visor and picks it. Patriots pick it. I know Funk was sweating that first half, and every fucking
Oh.
Chiefs fan was. And I heard by 2 people today that they were scared to play the Bills round 1.
The Chiefs fans?
2 people at work. Yep.
All right. Well, we were going to do worst performance, best performance, but let's jump into tonight's game. We got somewhat of a decent game for you, hopefully. Eagles playing in Seattle. The Eagles are -4.5. Meisner, I'll let you take the lead on this one. What do you see happening tonight?
I don't have a super I don't have a super conspiracy like theory one way or the other. I'm a little indifferent. I'm leaning with the Eagles. I think I'm going to take them with the spread. It just seems like Seattle it's their time is done. They're squeezing them out of the playoffs. I think, the Rams are bouncing their way back in. I really think they're going to cook up that Vikings Packers game. So it just seems like you got to make room for somebody if you're going to have that happen, which I'm pretty sold on that happening. The Vikings Packers, they're going to blow that baby up for a playoff spot. I do think the Rams are going to get in. So it just seems like you got to make some room. Seattle, the last month has been rocky. I think tonight's a nail in the coffin. You have Philly, who got smacked around last week. They are the public favorites right now, but still, probably if they would have, played a little bit better last week, it probably went way higher. So they're kind of, people are a little bit lower on them than they normally would have been. So give me Seattle. I'm leaning them -4, but I'm not. Give me Philly -4, leaning them, but not totally sold on it. I just think it seems like Seattle's time is done.
Where do you two schmools want to go next?
I didn't even hear the question. Go ahead.
Tonight's game.
I'll go then.
Go ahead.
I think I'm with Meisner. I think I would take, if I'm betting the spread, which I'm not, but if I was, I'd be betting Eagles -4. I think both of those teams have been sputtering, but I think the Seahawks started 6-3. They've lost 4 straight. It's going to be 5 straight. 6-8. They're out of the playoffs. See ya. Done. Bye. And Eagles. I think the Eagles. I do think the Eagles are going to. I think the narrative's going to be a little different in 3 weeks when I think they'll clean up the Seahawks, and then they've got like the Cardinals or the Giants or somebody, maybe the Giants and somebody else coming in. I think they'll win in, and depending on if the Niners win in, maybe they drop one somewhere. They probably won't, but I think the Eagles could potentially get the 1 seed, and they obviously got to win tonight, but we'll see.
Beck, any thoughts on tonight's game?
I'm taking Seattle against spread, right? What is it, 4?
Yeah, 4 points.
17.5.
Who are you taking straight up?
Seattle.
I think they're winning.
Philly. I'll even with Jalen Hurts.
Who's even playing at quarterback is it Locke or
Jalen.
I think
Geno.
both Geno and Jalen are playing.
Yes.
I go back and forth this game because I literally in person watched Seattle get their ass kicked on Thanksgiving Day by the 49ers. And then they turn around the next week.
Eagles are not the Niners.
Jeez. I said I watched them on Thanksgiving Day play the 49ers and get their ass whooped.
Maybe it was a bad night for them.
Anyways, Sheets. They lose that game. Then they go play the Cowboys. They lose that. Then they play the 49ers. They lose that. They've lost 4 in a row. They haven't won in over a month. Klingel said it. The Eagles have lost 2 in a row. I tend to lean Eagles. Yeah, yep. I'm going Eagles -4.5 because I think Seattle's terrible. I think they're actually a shit football team. We saw this a couple episodes ago. We said they're going to –
Packers are a shit football team.
Yeah, we are.
Go ahead.
But you don't want to play us in the Super Bowl. I think the Eagles maybe get right game for them, kick the shit out of them. I might even tease this to like -9.5. Hope they beat the shit out of them. I also like the over. Seattle scores a bunch of points. They scored 41-35 that Cowboys game, 28-16. So it's Sounds like we're all going with the Eagles except for dipshit in the bottom left. He's going to be riding the Seahawks straight up, he said. Did you guys bring a leg for the any lamb on the line parlay?
No.
For what?
Dude, are you fucking ripped?
The lamb on the line parlay. You didn't.
Nope.
I did.
These two didn't read the email. That's okay. That means you can come
Well,
up
you
with
didn't
one.
make it clear enough, obviously. So
Ref?
I don't know. Is Beck on a different podcast? I feel like he's just responding to someone else.
No, I'm looking at the email right now.
yeah, I didn't see anything about a lamb leg.
I'm taking
Exposed right now, Russell.
I'm taking
Here,
Josh
here,
Allen
here.
over 500 yards passing next game. They're playing the fucking Chargers, dude.
I said, and I quote, complete the lamb on the line parlay, parentheses. We will each bring one leg and parlay them all together, end parentheses. So it was right there, right in the email.
Yeah.
You two idiots.
Yeah. I'm reading it right now.
Well, Klingel, you.
I don't want to give the people a bad pick, so I'll
give them a fucking great pick.
All right,
tonight?
Beck, you got to. Yeah, you got to pick. You can't be a side. It's got to be a player prop. So what do you got, Beck? You want me to list some off for you? You want receiving, rushing? You want?
I want receiving.
Okay, who are you thinking? This is for the listeners. We haven't won this lamb in the line parlay in like 6 weeks.
Well,
Tonight might be the night though. With
You
who's making the first pick.
Probably will. All right, what we got?
So receiving props. Who do you want to know? Seahawks, Eagles.
Seahawks.
We got DK 60.5, Tyler Lockett 49.5, Noah Fant 21.5.
Give me Tyler Lockett.
All
49.5.
right. I actually like that. I'm writing that in a different bet I've got going on. So
isn't
good.
Darius Slay out the rest of the year? That poor boy.
Yeah, Slay's not playing. Bradbury's trash. I think they're D
And
corner.
fucking Darius Slay. He was fucking holding against us the whole fucking game.
He's good.
Shit. Nah,
He's
that
good.
dude's
Jeez.
trash. He's trash. He's
Meisner, you want to go last for this or what?
I don't care. It's up to you.
I can give a pick if need be.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
People
Is
need
this
it.
for tonight? This is for tonight's game, correct?
Yep.
I'll just give the AJ Brown over 80.5 receiving yards. I think he goes over 100 actually.
Yep.
Yeah. Eagles. I mean, the Seahawks secondary is trash in my opinion. He's due. AJ Brown's due. It's time. That's over 80.5. I think that's what I just saw it at. So.
Yep. You're right. 8.5. I like that.
Great pick.
I'm gonna stick with the receiving props because I think both these defensive corners and D-backs are struggling. And they keep throwing this, man. They have the last 2 games. He gets every ball, it seems like. I'm going DK Metcalf over 60.5. That maybe was Meisner's pick also by the look on his face. I think the Seahawks get down early and they got to throw. And I think that easily hits.
That's all right. Let's go. I'm on FanDuel right now, so I'll go to the game, get the single game parlay cooked up, and I'll get one off the top of my head here.
His receptions is 4.5.
What?
Can I see your sweater? Zoom.
Yeah. Hold on.
Stand up or lower the camera. Oh.
Oh, there we go.
Oh. Nice. Did you have that in college?
I don't think so. I think I got this at a Christmas Eve like 2 years ago.
Oh shit. I need me a Bill's fucking ugly sweater.
Beck, can we see you stand up and take your jersey off just for the pod?
Nope. I just had dinner, so I'm bloated right now.
All right, let's go with
Sleeping in this. I haven't taken this jersey off since the Chiefs Bills game. So go ahead.
Meisner, what do you got?
let's we're going with the receivers. So I'm thinking let's try to find a running back. I'm looking at the running backs right now. I I hate to be the one that blows it though. I really want to nail this one. Let's see.
If you say an under,
Sheets pick will probably lose. So
Nail it like you nailed Fonte.
hey, a couple weeks ago, we did this parlay, and Meisner goes, "I'm taking Tanner Hudson under." At this time, we'd never heard of that man.
That?
And exactly, and that's what Meisner's thinking, and I like the bet, his pick, but that one pick fucked us on our parlay. But he's going to redeem himself here. I got a feeling you're taking an under.
Yeah, I don't. I wanted to take Kenneth Gainwell's rushing yards, but his is kind of high on FanDuel compared to the other ones. I'm thinking it's
What about
Kenneth
Walker?
Gainwell rushing is only 14 yards. I think Gainwell rips off a big one. I can see Kenneth Gainwell ripping off a 25-yard run. That's just what I'm thinking. So I like to do those where it's like it doesn't take a lot of effort. Get this guy the ball a couple times, fucking let him do his shit. That's what I'm leaning towards. I think is that
I like it.
Gainwell, or you could double up. We did Lockett's over 50 receiving yards or whatever it was, 60 yards. You could do his receptions, whatever that is.
I like the 14.5. I am actually riding that in another bet. So
let's hit it.
I
can see that guy busting one for 25 yards right between the numbers. Right over
he's averaging 4.5 yards a carry. All we need is 3 carries out of him to get us close to that number.
I'm asking for 1 carry. Bust that fucker, go 25 yards, and he's going to get it.
So per Meisner, we're looking at Kenneth Gainwell over 14.5 rushing yards. Per me, DK Metcalf over 60.5. Klingle likes AJ Brown over 80.5, and Goose, who never bets really, likes Tyler Lockett over 49.5 yards. I don't know why. This just seems like the one. This just seems like the one we win. The one that we didn't plan for, and everyone just kind of came up with something right at the last second. This seems like a winner to me. So I'm putting 1 unit on as usual. And that's a plus. We're at plus 1,081. Those are our odds for the Lamb on the Line parlay. So the highest they've ever been.
Yeah.
But feeling confident.
They're going to hit. There's no doubt about it. It's good to have you guys on. Thanks for popping on. Rams getting some love today. I think it's the first time we had any Rams. So it's good to have them on. Bills Mafia, Beck is back.
Good yes, sir, baby. Circle the wagons.
Yes, sir.
Circle the
congrats on your win over the Cowboys.
You have a gay profile picture. Sorry, go ahead.
That's all. That's my thoughts. That's all I got to say. Thanks for hopping on today. We got a good game tonight, Seattle and Philly. The parlay's sitting. Parlay's sitting. I'm going to leave it with that. Fucking bet that shit. Cashing. We'll hit you up next week. We'll see how we're doing. This has been Lamb on the Line. Another episode in the books. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Fuck yeah.